Welcome, everyone, to the After Action Report, a podcast from the Eden Project. I'm one of your hosts today. I'm Michael Stewart, and this is my friend, my co-host, and the executive director of the Eden Project, Bryn Briggs.
Hey, thanks, Michael. Great to be here. Thanks for having the time to do this again, and thanks everybody for tuning in and listening.
Absolutely.
The Eden Project is we're here for veterans and active duty folks. And this particular part of the Eden Project is to give vets the healthy mental health tools to live by.
Yeah, the day-to-day life. We actually provide the tools to deal with reality, and that's the beauty of the Eden Project. And if you would like to reach out to us, if this is your first time on a podcast with us, or you've been listening and you thought, you know what, maybe I will text or call, you can do so at 678-632-5383. That's 678-632-5383. Or visit us at eden-project.com. That's Eden, EDEN-project.com. So, what's on store for us today?
So, for the whole show is designed to talk about mental health for the last 10 episodes. We're on episode 11 now.
Oh, that's right.
For the last 10 episodes, we've talked all around mental health, and we've given tools and we've given wellness practices, but we've never really said, what is mental health? So today, let's kind of dig into, defining it, talking about it, and not beating around the bush. We'll talk about mental health.
Also, with a reminder that anything that comes out of my head shouldn't be construed as medical advice or anything, because sometimes I wonder about my mental state.
Yeah.
So do I, especially in the world today. So
I've been around you enough. I wonder too.
Most people say that about me. So tell us more.
So like I said, we talk around mental health, and we don't have a clear definition. So preparing for this, I thought, well, surely there's going to be a definition. So I look it up on, my search engine. I didn't really get anything. I looked through some of the books that I have, the resources, and sure enough, there is no set standard definition of mental health.
Which is weird.
Which is kind of weird because it's such a big issue. Maybe that's why it's such a big issue.
Well, a big issue with multiple facets of everything in between, and a variety of examples of good and bad mental health. Maybe that's why.
Probably. It's not like, what I was expecting was if you have a broken arm, you can see a picture of what a non-broken arm looks like. And then you take an x-ray and you can see, there's the break. You can define what a broken arm is.
Exactly.
If you have an unhealthy, lung or liver or something, there's pictures of what a healthy liver looks like. And then you can say, okay, that's healthy. This is unhealthy. And now we know how to identify it and then fix it. With mental health, there is no picture of somebody that says, aha, this is what healthy mental health is. And anything that's different from that, here's what we need to do to fix it. That's kind of where we're, and I think that's part of the problem. It's not a new issue, a 10-year-old issue. This goes back thousands of years. They've been trying to work on this for a while. So where I was really hoping this could be a clear, cut and dry show where, here's what the definition is.
Right.
It's going to get a little fuzzy, but hopefully by the end, we'll tie some things together.
Maybe we will start. Let's give some kind of like an accepted, just a general definition of some sort. How about that?
Let's go with that. So here's what I was able to find. Mental health is a state of well-being in which individuals realize their own abilities, can cope with normal stress of life, can work productively and fruitfully, and is able to make a contribution to their community.
Man, well, there you go. That's a lot.
And look how vague that is.
Oh, it is.
It's not like, okay, there's the break, sticking with the arm.
Right.
Here's the break in your arm. It's
right.
halfway up the arm. It's at the wrist or whatever. It's, a contribution to community. What's that even mean?
Yeah.
But all the definitions that I looked up and did some research the last couple of weeks, they do have some basic areas that they all agree on. Good mental health encompasses your emotional, psychological, and social well-being. And basically it helps you understand how you think, feel, and act. So, we're going to operate off of that premise, I guess, for the next hour or so.
Well, I mean, and the first thing that comes to my mind is, that's a lot, especially in today's day and age, television, radio, and podcasting and cell phones and all of things. Like if you go back just 100 years and we didn't have half of that, stuff, maybe things were a little bit better. Maybe we weren't as mentally capped or,
Yeah. So this is totally off track, like normal with me. I was reading an article. I was reading an article yesterday, and they've discovered graffiti in Pompeii. Pompeii was a couple thousand years ago, got covered up and buried by a volcano.
Right.
Well, they found this area that they think was like a kindergarten or a preschool area that they figured that the graffiti was done by little kids.
Wow.
Because it's the little stick figures and the legs connect to the head, and so the kids then are still drawing the way kids do now.
Yeah, you should have seen the cars and people I used to draw when I was a kid.
Yeah, but what they were fascinated by was these kids were exposed to gladiators, like actual gladiators. They were in the ring doing things gladiators did to each other, and the trauma and the violence they saw was real. It wasn't on a video game. It wasn't something they could delete or mom and dad could turn the TV off. It was actual real violence. But you know what? Those kids grew up relatively normal. And you would think that back then it would have gotten progressively worse and worse and worse and worse. But, mental health has been around for a long time. That's one of those things that they assumed, oh my gosh, well, kids playing video games now.
Oh, yeah.
They're like, oh my gosh, this is going to ruin society and these kids are going to turn out crazy. I mean, thousands of years ago, they were actually watching it for real. So
Exactly.
And I'm sorry, I got us.
Oh no, that's what we do here on this on the After Action Report, a podcast from the Eden Project.
Wish they call it the U-turn report or something.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
So good mental health isn't just the absence of mental health disorders. It's the presence of all the good things that we're supposed to have in our life. Some people look at mental health as you're not healthy because you have these problems. But, it's not just the absence of, it's the presence of other things that are actually good things or things that are, we're supposed to have in our life.
Exactly.
Healthy relationships, being productive, having a purpose, doing stuff like that.
Yeah. And still probably people are sitting out there going, it's clear as mud right now. I don't understand.
That's what I'm, yeah. So again, back in my day, would say break it down Barney style. I'm going to break this down Bren Briggs style.
Okay.
If I say Barney, do you know what that reference is?
I love you. Is that Barney?
That Barney.
Oh, okay.
Yes, that one. So the way I look at mental health, figure it's like on a sliding scale or a spectrum of colors. If you were going to go to Lowe's or Home Depot or someplace and get paint, you're going to pick out red paint.
Okay.
There's going to be hundreds of different options for red paint. There's a Firehouse red, Candy Apple red, cherry, crimson, all kinds of different reds, but they're all red, right? That's a yes.
That's a yes. Yeah. Yes.
So mental health is the same way.
Okay.
You may be super high today and like in a really good mood,
right? And
then kind of low again tomorrow, but you're still on that spectrum, if you will, that sliding scale that everything is okay,
right?
And again, that's one of those crazy definitions too. That yes, I'm okay. Well, what's okay? Because you're in that sliding scale of okayness,
right? So what you're saying is, if you're comparing that like to somebody. Maybe because they're feeling a little down or something like that, doesn't necessarily mean that they have an emotional problem, right?
Thank you for bringing that back together. That's exactly right.
Well, I mean, because that's true, because somebody can be, having a bad day, be a little cranky. It doesn't mean they're a butthead all the time to everybody.
Right,
same thing.
Right.
Yeah.
But I've run into folks like that they may have a bad day and someone around them says, "Oh, what's wrong with you? We need to go see a doctor." No, it's just it's just a bad day.
Just a bad day.
Because there's so many different things that will impact and have an effect on what's going on. So yeah, you can't just take one isolated incident and think that that someone's crazy or depressed or whatever because of that one little thing. So, mental health is on that scale or that spectrum that, like the broken arm and being pregnant. You're not just a little pregnant, right? You either are or you aren't.
Exactly. Unless it's long-lasting pregnancy or broken armness or whatever. Right, exactly. I get it. I see what you're saying with that.
So I'm going to try and tell, maybe a little joke or a little humor here.
Ooh, okay.
And tie some things together with an example that may or may not work for you.
Okay, I'm ready for it.
Okay, so this, let's say this person of undisclosed gender and nondescript hair.
Wait, what?
I'm trying not to offend anybody. The first time I heard this joke, it was of a blonde girl, but
okay.
My daughter's blonde. I don't want to offend a blonde.
I'm blonde.
I'm looking across the room
and
here.
I'm not going to be offended. It's a joke. I'm sure it's a joke. All right. So all right, go ahead.
Okay. So this person goes in to see a doctor and says, "Doc, everywhere I touch, it hurts." Doc's like, okay, tell me more. What are you talking about? She goes, "Well, look." And she touched her knee and she's like, "Ouch." She touched her elbow. "Oh, that hurt so bad." She reached up and touched her ear. "Ow, doc, the pain, it's killing me." He says, "Okay, stop. I get it." She's like, "Can you tell me what's wrong?" He says, "Yes, your finger's broken."
Oh, man, that's it. So what's the point? See what I did there? What's the point? Pointing finger
out. Is that what we're supposed to say? One of us says, "Ouch." Well, if I have to explain it, I guess it kind of loses the point, doesn't it? It's not funny anymore.
It was kind of funny. It was kind of funny.
I thought it was funny. Well, okay. So here's the point, or at least how I'm trying to tie this together. With mental health, you kind of have to look at the whole picture. Mm-hmm. In this little joke or my attempt at humor, the girl walks in and all she could think about is the pain that she's in. But the doc needs extra information to find out, really what's going on. She's focused on pain, but he's watching, listening, taking notes on everything else, and saying, "Got it, you're in pain, but the pain's not where you think it is. It's from something else."
Gotcha. Oh, wow. See, I love how you tied that together. Now it's funny.
Now it works, right?
That's working. Well, and I think there's a lot of different things that kind of play into mental health and what's going on in people's lives, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. So, a couple other scenarios that are in our daily life, the lives of people that I work with. Food, for example.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Social activities, and it's not just a thing like right now as adults. I mean, some of this stuff, we have to go back and look from the time people were kids all the way through to where they are now. Exactly. So we're looking at their entire lifespan, what they eat, social activities, and so forth.
Well, and what you eat is it's very important to your mental health and your physical health too, because there's all kinds of studies that show that people who are raised on processed food and the things that they put in the food that's coming from the United States versus in other countries, that's a big thing right now on social media where you see the ingredients to something here and over there. It's been banned in other countries because they know that it causes Parkinson's and Alzheimer's and early deaths and things like that. What you put into your body, which is your machine, will ultimately make all your parts either run properly or not. So that's very, very important.
I've been reading a lot, about what you just now said, that the food in Europe is significantly different.
Oh, yeah.
It's processed, it's GMO over here. Mm-hmm. And I'm willing to bet if there's follow-on studies that talk about our health compared to their health and so forth. So,
well, and there's plenty of those around, and we've seen, a lot of it comes from lobbyists and companies and these big tech companies that want to put things in our food, and they're like, it's okay, and we let them, and then here we are. So
yeah. So my wife has been tracking. I love how observant Nikki is. Mm-hmm. I've got a service dog, and my dog watches me, and he identifies things that I don't even notice. Nikki, over the last probably year and a half, has been super observant when it comes to, gosh, I hate to even say this, sugar.
Yeah.
I love sweets. I love brownies. Yep. She makes these monkey bread. Oh my gosh, cinnamon monkey bread stuff that I'd eat the whole tray myself, but she doesn't let me. I don't notice a change, but within probably 15 minutes, she can watch my whole demeanor, my personality, everything go from upbeat to holy crap, what's going on? And then within 15, 20 minutes later, I'm out with a migraine.
From sugar.
Oh,
wow.
Yeah. I guess for years I've been dealing with this, but the TBI, I forget about the sugar and the connection.
Right.
So I go back and eat it again, and the cycle continues. But she's been watching this, and just lately we've noticed, the sugar, migraine, and what the correlation is with that. So now she doesn't, of course, let me have
You
the
can't
sugar
have your
that I
monkey.
want.
You can't have the monkey bread anymore. Oh no,
Right,
that's
right.
not good. Well, what about things like sleep?
Great. So, and that's something too, that, you know, if someone listening is dealing with issues that either we're talking about or they think may be related to mental health, sleep is one of the big ones. Truly find someone that you trust and ask them what's going on, or see a doctor, see a mental health professional. It goes both ways. If you don't sleep or get the right kind of sleep, you'll be cranky and whatever else the next day. But then if you're having issues with mental health, it causes you to not be able to sleep. So it's 6 to 1, you know, which one is it? And we're not here to tell someone, you know, it's your sleep problem or it's your mental health problem. What we're here to say is, if you're having an issue, go find some help.
Yeah, because interrupted sleep is just as bad as not getting any sleep sometimes.
That's
I've read those
exactly
things,
right.
You know.
And how do you define good sleep? So what's a good night's sleep for you?
Well, let's see. In bed by 10 o'clock. I get up in the 5 o'clock hour, various times in the 5 o'clock hour, because I like to get up, do devotionals and all that stuff. So I'm up really early, but so if I'm up too late, like we did a wedding last week, and I got in bed a little after midnight, had to get up at like 5:30. I wasn't the pleasant Michael that everybody knows.
Yeah.
So that to me would not be a good night's sleep, but anything that's interrupted, if I can sleep, 6-7 hours straight with no interruptions without my cat meowing or doing the vomit thing, hey man, we'd be good.
I'm dry heaving listening to that. But yeah, so that's one of those things, and you know your cycle, you know your system, you know what works for you.
Well, what about you? What's a good night's sleep for you?
It's funny. So, and it's for me, honestly, and this is not to try and be funny again, because I tried that once. I'm not sleeping under a Jeep. I'm not sleeping in the rut out in the field. No one's shooting at me. I've got more than 20 minutes. I call that a good night's sleep. But, I've talked to folks who, if they don't get their 8 hours, I didn't get my 8 hours. It was a horrible night. Not to, pick on those folks either, but it's just one of those things that, it's sleep, and like we're talking about now, and mental health, it's on that spectrum. And you have to know where you are, what works for you, and what the right thing is for you.
And a lot of that stuff can be habit. Like I wasn't always like wanting to get up in the 5 o'clock hour. I do it because there's things that I want to get done before the rest of the world starts doing their thing, and it became a habit. So now I don't even need an alarm clock most of the time. So your body gets used to the things, whether it's no sugar, eating broccoli every day, or whatever, whatever the case may be, sleep,
We're in our peer groups, we're teaching folks to be mindful and to be aware of themselves. So this may be a really cool thing. Even if they start with just this one habit, they start with paying attention to their sleep. That one thing may change their mental outlook for the rest of the day.
Yeah, that sounds good.
So with mental health, it's again, using that broken bone analogy, it's basically the same thing. You can have an X-ray to see the broken bone, but there's no X-ray with mental health. So you got to find somebody that you can talk to, that can really help narrow down and focus on what it is that's going on.
And the Eden Project, little side note here, the Eden Project probably knows people that could maybe help you out if you were interested. Right, Bryn?
That's right. So, to put a shameless plug in for the Eden Project, if you're in the Georgia area and you're going through some of this stuff, absolutely. Because most of our resources are here in Georgia. If you're any place else listening, and you still want to reach out to us, we're going to find some help for you.
Our website is eden-project.com, or you can call or text 678-632-5383, 678-632-5383.
So there's a lot of really cool tools out there to help mental health professionals kind of look at what's going on and figure out how to help somebody.
Okay.
One of my favorite tools, like I said, there's a lot of them out there. One of my favorite models, it's called a nested model. There's a part of it that I disagree with. When I get there, I'll kind of talk through that part too. But this is one of the better models, I think, that helps a doctor or someone look at the person holistically.
Okay.
So the first part is you got a subjective domain, which includes basically the first person of who you are and your state of being.
Like how we think about ourselves, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Got it.
The second part is the biological and physiological. We were talking about sleep. That's kind of, that falls into this area.
Okay.
The social environment, what's going on around you. If you've got great friends, good support, or the opposite, you don't have any support, that's where this third area fits in.
Right.
The fourth one is I have a little problem with, and I'll explain that. The values and ideology of the evaluator.
Okay.
So think about, and I'm going to use two like really, really big extremes. Imagine you're an ultra conservative. Pretend, you're an ultra conservative. And then you go to a professional and they're the exact opposite.
Okay.
So they're going to look at you and you're going to be talking about certain things and describing your life. Well, they're going to be judging, grading, evaluating you based on their experiences. And, just on those two wild extremes, that's probably not going to turn out well. So it's a great model. I have a problem with that one part of the model. So if anyone wanted to look up the nested model, just know that, not every model's perfect. This one, in my opinion, is where there's a little bit of a problem. But other than that, I think it's pretty solid because it looks at the person holistically and can, look at your sleep, look at your diet, look at your past and what you're doing and kind of help evaluate you on a bigger scale.
Okay.
And what's kind of cool about this model, another reason that I like it really correlates with the Eden Project and our 4 pillars.
Right.
Faith, of course, is one of is our main pillar, but social support, purpose, medical care, all fit into the nested model.
That's good. That's good.
So like I said, there's no standard or clear-cut model for mental health, like there's a broken arm, but it's a great place to start. This is one of the things that, trying to help people, look at if they're trying to figure out what's going on in their life, do they need help? A way to start is, just trying to figure out one, they're not going to find a standard definition. If they were to Google it or look it up, they're not going to say, okay, look at Michael Stewart. He's the textbook image and perfect person of what mental health is. So I want to be just like him. We're not going to find that model. That's the first thing people need to know. The second thing, there are some agreed upon domains like the emotional, psychological, and social well-being, and all of those things together work on how we think, feel, and act, in our daily life.
Right. Right.
And the last part, I think the most important part is we're all different. Bryn Briggs isn't Michael Stewart, and Michael Stewart isn't always the same Michael Stewart.
I'm not. I'm a chameleon. Yeah.
And as we all are. So today I woke up feeling really great. I had some coffee. I actually had some really good coffee this morning.
It was the Eden Project coffee. I know you were.
I had to work that in there.
I know you're getting that one in there. That's good.
But all days aren't exactly like that.
Right.
So even looking at who I am is different today and maybe different tomorrow and so forth. But again, it goes back to that spectrum of am I still in the right area?
Yeah, making sure that you're still you, but you're going to be different in different times.
That's exactly right.
Sort of like what was that Snickers commercial where Grandma, eat a Snickers.
Those are some of the funniest commercials. And then when I first saw it, I thought I didn't understand what it was.
Yeah. And
then I got it. I ran into someone in a grocery store that was one of those. What's it called? Hangry?
Yeah, I'm hangry. I'm kind of angry and hungry. It makes you hang. Yeah. So I get it. So what can we leave our listeners with from today on our podcast?
Yep. If there's any concern or if you're feeling a bit off or just not quite yourself, the number one thing is kind of, I say pause, take a little assessment. And if you have someone that you trust, ask them, am I different today? Is everything normal? Is that okay? And depending on their answer, seek professional help. It doesn't hurt to call a doctor, find a medical professional, but look for some help.
Yeah, and I think that's a stigma that's from the past. I think it showed a sign of weakness, especially for the males, that if you looked for help or went to talk to somebody, psychiatrist, psychologist, whatever, it showed that you were weak, and it was also affected a lot of jobs. I know a lot of, and today still that's kind of that same way with a lot of jobs. But I encourage you to forget about all that. You know, the most important thing is getting help for yourself, because you can't be good for anybody, your spouse, kids, your job, you know, whatever, a friend. You can't be good for anybody else unless your battery, your battery's all charged up.
Yeah.
You've got good sleep, you got good food, and you got somebody that's looking in and saying, hey, here's something we need to talk about, and this might help you. And you just never know until you reach out and try.
That's what we're trying to do with this show. In case it wasn't clearly obvious in this episode or maybe some past episodes, the idea is to make this more common, more comfortable, more normal to have that conversation about mental health. Just like the broken arm. If you break an arm, no one's going to fire you from your job or take your badge away or whatever. So it should be the same thing with mental health issues.
I agree with you, and I really appreciate you doing that and bringing this to light on the podcast so other people can follow along, get some help. Well, buddy, thank you so much for being here with me today on this podcast. I love our podcast. I hope that everybody listening right now, if you, by the way, ever have any questions about anything that we said, you want to reach out and contact us, please do so. You can find us at eden-project.com. Text or call 678-632-5383. And we love it when you share our podcast with your family or friends. Maybe put it on your social media, any way that you can spread the word. And from wherever you get your podcasts, your favorite place to get them. We thank you for being part of our world, right?
Yeah, Michael, I appreciate your time. I know you've got a ton of stuff going on. And I really appreciate you spending the time with me so we can share this time with other people and reach out to them.
It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. No, seriously, this is one of my. I look forward to doing these every other week with you, and so
awesome.
Thank you so much. So again, thank you so much for being part of our show. We are the After Action Report, a podcast from the Eden Project.